Don't click this. Somewhere, right now, someone just read those words and felt a small jolt in their chest. Not fear exactly. Something closer to a dare? A pull. You are reading this sentence because a video told you not to, and some part of your brain decided that was a reason to keep going. That is not a coincidence. That is not a personality flaw. That is one of the oldest, strangest wiring bugs in the human mind, and it has been quietly running your decisions your entire life. Here's the strange part. The instruction itself is what creates the urge. Take away the warning, and most people would have scrolled past without a second thought. Add the warning, and suddenly the thing feels important. Suddenly it feels like it's yours to claim. Why would a simple sentence turn indifference into obsession? The answer starts in a psychology lab in the 1960s. A researcher named Jack Brehm noticed something odd while studying how people respond to being told what to do. When someone's freedom to choose is threatened, even in a small, harmless way, the brain doesn't calmly accept it. It fights back. Brehm called this psychological reactance, and it worked almost like a pressure system. Block an option, and the desire for that option doesn't shrink. It grows. Not because the object changed, because the freedom around it changed. Think about how strange that is. The video didn't get more interesting the moment it said, "Don't click." The forbidden fruit didn't get sweeter the moment it was forbidden. Your brain simply recalculated its value the instant it sensed a wall going up. Restriction is read by the brain as a threat to autonomy, and autonomy is one of the things your mind protects most fiercely. But reactance is only half the story. There's a second mechanism running underneath it, and it's even sneakier. In the late 1980s, a social psychologist named Daniel Wegner ran an experiment that has since become famous in psychology courses around the world. He asked participants to sit in a room and try not to think about a white bear. Just don't think about it. For 5 minutes, say whatever comes to mind, but keep the white bear out. Almost nobody could do it. The bear kept intruding, again and again, popping up exactly because it was banned. Wegner called this ironic process theory, and the mechanism behind it is almost cruelly elegant. To avoid thinking about something, your brain has to first check whether you're thinking about it. That check itself requires holding the forbidden thing in mind. So the very act of suppression keeps quietly feeding the thought back into your awareness. The instruction, "Don't think about the bear," is mechanically indistinguishable from "keep checking on the bear." And checking on something over and over is just another word for thinking about it. Now put "don't click this" through the same machinery. The moment you read the warning, your brain has to represent what it is you're not supposed to click. It has to hold the video in mind just to know what to avoid. And once something is sitting in your working memory, glowing faintly with attention, it becomes very hard to just let it sit there quietly. Suppression doesn't erase a thought, it rehearses it. There's a third piece, and this one has nothing to do with rules at all. It has to do with endings. In the 1920s, a psychologist named Bluma Zygarnik was sitting in a Vienna cafe and noticed something about the waiters. They could hold enormous, complicated orders in their heads without writing anything down, as long as the order was still open. The moment the food was delivered and the bill was paid, the memory of that order vanished almost instantly. Curious, she brought the idea into the lab and confirmed it formally. Unfinished tasks are remembered far better than completed ones. Open loops linger in the mind. Closed loops get filed away and forgotten. A warning like "don't click this" opens a loop. It plants a question without an answer. What's in there? Why does it matter? Why does it need to be hidden? Your brain doesn't like walking around with an open question sitting unresolved, because unresolved things demand cognitive resources just to keep track of. Clicking isn't really about curiosity in the simple sense. It's about closing a loop that was deliberately left open. Stack these three mechanisms on top of each other, and you get something close to irresistible. Reactance tells your brain the freedom to choose is under attack and pushes back. Ironic process theory means the instruction itself forces the forbidden thing into your attention, over and over, the moment you try to avoid it. And the open loop from an unanswered question keeps nagging at you until it's resolved. None of these systems evolved because of clickbait. They evolved for reasons that had nothing to do with videos or warnings at all. Reactance likely exists because early humans who could push back against unwanted control had better odds of protecting resources, status, and safety. A brain that simply complied with every restriction, every single time, without question, was a brain that could be easily dominated. Some resistance to being told what to do was, for most of human history, a survival trait, not a flaw. Ironic process theory may be a side effect of something equally useful. Being able to monitor your own thoughts to check what you are and are not paying attention to is a form of self-awareness that most animals simply don't have. That monitoring system is powerful. It just happens to backfire the moment you point it at something you're trying to avoid. And the open loops that the Zeigarnik effect describes were almost certainly built for something like tracking a hunt, remembering an unfinished task, keeping mental tabs on a threat that hadn't been resolved yet. In a world with real danger, forgetting about unfinished business could get you killed. So the mind holds on tightly. None of these systems were built with screens in mind. They were built for a world with predators, scarce food, and fragile alliances. But the mechanisms don't know the difference between an actual threat to your survival and a stranger on the internet telling you not to press a button. The wiring fires exactly the same way either way. This is why forbidden content, banned videos, and you're not ready for this. Thumbnails work so reliably across every platform, in every country, on every age group. It isn't a trick that only works on people who are gullible. It works on the specific architecture of human attention itself. The people who click are not weaker-willed. They have the same brain as everyone else, running the same three systems, doing exactly what those systems were built to do. So what happens once you understand the mechanism? Does knowing about reactance make you immune to it? Not entirely. But something interesting does happen. Once you can name the pull, once you can recognize, this is reactance, this is an open loop, this is my brain trying to resolve a threat that isn't really there, the urge tends to lose some of its grip. It doesn't vanish. But it stops feeling like fate. It starts feeling like a pattern you can watch happen in real time. Which brings this back to where it started. You read 3 words at the very top of this video. Don't click this. And instead of scrolling away, you kept watching. Maybe you told yourself you were just curious. Maybe you didn't think about it at all. But underneath that decision, 3 separate systems were quietly at work. Systems built over millions of years, systems that have nothing to do with videos and everything to do with survival. You didn't click this because you're weak. You clicked it because you're human.